Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome back once again to our ever ongoing series on the glories of our most beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we're continuing with our mini-series on stimulation for ecstatic love, and this will be part 136, in which we will continue our discussions on Radha and Krishna's disguises in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Now, disguises are very much part of the divine couple's playful pastimes. Sometimes those disguises are meant to hide the divine couple from, like, for example, the elders of Braj, or to help them meet secretly in different scenarios. In Sanskrit terms, disguises are often referred to as avarana. Avarana. It means covering. Acharyas describe that one such avarana is known as Maya, the illusory material energy. And because of this specific avarana, covering, one cannot understand the existence of the Lord. For example, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, avajananti mamhuda manushim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram, that fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. It's hidden from them. So in order to unveil this specific avarana, one must seek out the shelter of a spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the one who uncovers this veil of illusion and, how could you say, clears our vision, thus allowing us one day to see the Lord. Therefore, we bow down to such spiritual masters. And the poet, Paramananda, he wrote a very beautiful prayer during his lifetime to his guru, which I would like to share with you. He writes, O Guru, the gatekeeper of the Lord, by your permission one enters into the realm of devotional service to the Lord. The Lord is covered with the veil of illusion, but you have uncovered that veil for us. Not only are you glorious, but your dear disciples are also glorious. Your disciples are therefore known as Guru Simha, the lions of their Guru. Your disciples roar fearlessly on the subject of Maya or illusion and pierce the subtle pride that sometimes hides within devotion. They represent you and walk gracefully in the forest of darkness while loudly chanting the names of the Lord. Paramananda Das glorifies the Guru and his dear disciples. So sweet. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can also unveil and properly understand the disguising pastimes of Radha and Krishna. They're also hidden to some degree. I read something very interesting recently that in Vrindavan, when Sri Radha disguises herself, the whole forest of Vrindavan tries to help her sustain her disguised character. Therefore, the forest of Vrindavan is very personal, and is described as ekarasa ekamana eki adharhan, which means that the forest of Vrindavan is always situated in the same mood as the divine couple themselves. Wow. All the forest vines, the fruits, the flowers, the birds, the insects, fountains, and even trees try to sustain and create this magical environment for Sri Radha to disguise herself in the best way. Another nature of the Vrindavan forest is pragatyam. Pragatyam meaning revealing. Like the Guru we mentioned earlier, Vrindavan forest personified reveals the secret pastimes of the divine couple. and therefore is considered a mystical forest. But the Acharyas say that sometimes, this is interesting, the Vrindavan forest hides the mystery of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. Reveals and hides. And why is that? Because the third nature of the forest in Vrindavan is seva sanmukham, meaning it changes its mood or its nature according to the desires or needs of the divine couple. Therefore, when there's a need to hide something in the divine couple's pastimes, Vrindavan forest will hide that. And when there's a need to reveal it, Vrindavan forest will reveal. So that way we can conclude that the forest of Vrindavan plays an essential role in the disguising pastimes of the divine couple. Hare Krishna. Now, the poet, one of our favorite poets, Govinda Swami, in his poem Swamini Kaumana, Swamini Kaumana, it means the pride of the mistress. He describes how Radharani once successfully disguised herself as a dutika, D-U-T-I-K-A, a dutika. It means a messenger, within the boundaries of this mystical Vrindavan forest, as a way to trick Krishna. It's a wonderful pastime. He writes, one day the Gopi Padma, who as many of you know is a very intimate friend of Chandravali, Radharani's rival or competitor, and Lalita, who is a very intimate friend of Sri Radha, of course, they were arguing, a transcendental argument, about Krishna's love for Radha and Chandravali. So Padma began, Krishna loves Chandravali more than he loves Sri Radha. But Lalita, who can be very fiery, strongly objected, saying, no, Krishna loves Radha more than he loves your queen. Now it's interesting that instead of saying Krishna loves Radharani more than Chandravali, Lalita said, Krishna loves Radha more than he loves your queen. She didn't refer to Chandravali by name. She just used the term queen. And that was because, well, Lalita is very dear to Sri Radha, and Sri Radha dislikes hearing the very name of her rival, Chandravali. So therefore, even in their dialogues, Radharani's Sakis never used Chandravali's name, not even in Radha's absence, as was the case here. So then Shaibya, who was another close friend of Chandravali, whispered something into Padma's ear. And at that point, Padma smiled and said, dear Lalita, let us test this theory. Let's arrange that for 3 days, Radha and our Chandravali will not talk to or make any type of contact with Krishna. Then we will surely see who Krishna misses the most. And if we see that he misses your Radha more, it will mean you win. And if he misses our queen more, it will mean we win, which will surely be the case. We'll win, for sure. So, looking out of the corner of her eyes, Lalita angrily said, accepted. Accepted. Then Lalita, with all the Sakis, went to where Sri Radha was staying and told her about Padma's challenge, in which Sri Radha replied, "O Lalita, you fully know my heart. I cannot live without making any contact with Krishna for 3 long days. Even a moment of separation from him feels like ages to me." Jai Sri Radhe. So Lalita replied, "Premka shoti jhopya, chade utare para, nava jhobhini radhika, ya ubheri shontanara." O Radhe, in this test of love you must be patient, to see if he loves you or our rival more. So understanding the need, in this case, to test Krishna's love, Sri Radha agreed. And she began a 3-day fast. And on the 3rd day of her fast, Krishna was wandering alone in the Vrindavan forest when he reached a secluded kunja. And there he began crying and lamenting while calling out Sri Radha's name. O Radhe, where have you gone? What mistakes or sins have I committed to your lotus feet that I am not seeing you these days? Please meet me just once. So the poet Govindaswami writes, hearing the inner call, so beautiful, hearing the inner call within her heart, Sri Radha in her palace felt suddenly the urgent need to meet Krishna. With all Yogamaya arranging these pastimes. But because she had given a promise to Lalita not to meet Krishna for those 3 days, she decided to meet Krishna indirectly, by disguising herself as a Dutika. Disguising herself as a Dutika. Dutika is a messenger Gopi. So she put on the clothes of a Dutika, a messenger Gopi. Many gopis have this service of delivering messages, between Radha and Krishna, etc. So she put on the clothes, the apparel of a Dutika, and took a long peacock feather for writing and hung an ink pot on her waist. She took a peacock feather for writing and hung an ink pot on her waist. Then grabbing some large lotus petals to write on the messages, she went to that secluded place in the Vrindavan forest where Krishna was crying. And when she arrived there, she saw him in a most pitiful state. In fact, it's described Krishna had become so weak from crying, he couldn't even stand up to greet this newly arrived Gopi Dutika. So in that disguise, Sri Radha said to Krishna, "O cowherd boy, it looks like you're suffering from love fever. Are you missing someone very dear to your heart? Do you want me to take a message to your lover?" So surprised, Krishna said, "And who may I ask? Are you young girl?" So disguised, Sri Radha replied, "I'm a Dutika. I'm a messenger. I heard your lamentation and came here to see what was wrong. Is there any way I can help you?" So Krishna said, "I am so glad you came here, O Dutika. Please take down a message for my beloved. Please take down a message for my beloved." Now to test Krishna, because that's the whole point of his pastime, now to test Krishna, to see whose name he would speak first, hers, Radha's or Chandravali's, Sri Radha asked him, "Well, tell me the name and address of your beloved. And then I can take a message. Tell me your beloved's name and her address." So it's so sweet. Krishna said softly, "Oh, her name is Radha." Hearing that, a beautiful smile came across the Dutika's face. Krishna continued, "Her address is that she lives in highly praised Goloka. Hidden by the grace of beauty, she dwells in a palace of glory, along with all the colors of the rainbow personified. She roams around with her Sakis, who each individually possess a dress of different colors of the rainbow. She glances down through her window of mercy and looks upon me in that divine realm of Varshana." So at that point, the smile on the Dutika's face became even broader. But despite his close contact with her, Krishna didn't recognize Radha disguised as a messenger. And of course, Radha couldn't reveal herself because of the promise she'd made to Lalita. Then the plot thickens. Suddenly, the breezes of the Vrindavan forest became filled with the aroma of jasmine and sandalwood. Buds of fresh flowers started blooming. Bees began singing songs of Yugala Milana. It means the divine couples meeting pastimes. Yugala Milana. And lotus buds started blossoming. Peacocks spread their feathers wide open, and the nectar from all the flowers in the Vrindavan forest began dripping on the ground. specific signs. And looking around the forest, Krishna reflected that before the Dutika messenger arrived, everything appeared dull and without mercy. But now the whole scene and mood had changed. And it felt like the whole forest was dancing blissfully in love. In your mind's eye, just try to picture the forest dancing blissfully in love. Shri Vrindavan Ki. Then, at that moment, Krishna suddenly realized that those were the very signs shown to him by the Vrindavan forest when he would regularly meet with Sri Radha. All those signs. They whenever Radha and Krishna would meet, the forest would dance in bliss and all these different signs would appear. So taking this cue, the poet says, taking this cue from the Vrindavan forest, Krishna glanced at the Dutika and immediately understood that she was none other than his beloved Radharani. So he quickly embraced her, saying, "My dearest Radha, it's you. You came hidden as a messenger. It seems you can hide from me, but you cannot hide your disguise by the mercy of this lovely forest of Vrindavan. It reveals and it hides and reveals." Then Krishna winked. I like this part. Krishna winked at the forest of Vrindavan, and together he and Radha went for a stroll in the groves of Braj. Now when Lalita and Vishaka told this to Padma, she became very embarrassed and ran back to Chandravali's grove. So the poet Govinda Swami says, "The beautiful Radha in the arms of Bhalvir Vihari Krishna once roamed in the forest of Vrindavan, disguised as a Dutika, a messenger of love." What a beautiful pastime. So in this way, we see that not only Radha and Krishna are involved in secret disguises, but that also the very forest of Vrindavan itself plays an equally important role in such pastimes. Shri Braj Bhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. So with that understanding, we can finish today with some excellent prayers to the forest of Vrindavan by one of my favorite poets now. His name is Hariram Vyasa. He writes, "Sweet, sweet is this forest of Vrindavan. Sweet, sweet are the nights in that forest. Beholding that forest, Mohan plays his flute. Rejoicing in that forest, he roams about it in bliss. Beholding the beauty of that forest, devotees find bliss and forget pain and grief. In that forest, the moon melts, and the dust from the cow's hooves creates clouds of nectarian rain. Looking at the beauty of that forest, the wife of Cupid forgets the beautiful form of her husband. Vyasadasa says, Kishori looks at Krishna with her right eye, and with her left eye she beholds the beauty of the Vrindavan forest." Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. We're now in Poland, on the Baltic Sea coast, with our 35th annual festival tour. We've done a couple. We have 38 more festivals to go. We're quite busy here in the modern day pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seriously. But we'll find time to prepare another class about disguises, because this is where we want to go, where the mercy of assisting Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas, they may bless us one day to enter into these eternal pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. That's our hope against hope. So thank you. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shamo Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yaga ki, Nitai Gaur Pimanandi Jai Jai Sisi Radhe Sham. Hare Krishna.